All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer. We are taking a really fascinating look at the actual mechanics of innovation, drawing straight from Peter Thiel's groundbreaking book, 0 to 1. Let's break down the core architecture of how we actually build the future.
Most people try to build the next version of something that already exists. Going from 1 to 100, that's just copying.
But Peter Thiel asks a much more important question. What valuable company is nobody building? Going from 0 to 1, well, that's about creating something genuinely new. And honestly, that difference could absolutely decide whether your idea becomes ordinary or completely extraordinary.
Section 1. Going from 0 to 1.
So, there are really two distinct types of human progress. First, we've got horizontal progress. This basically means taking things that already work and just making more of them. You go from 1 to n. Think about it like this. If you build 100 more typewriters, you've made horizontal progress. But then there's vertical progress. This means doing something nobody else has ever done before, going from 0 to 1, inventing the word processor. It's much, much harder, obviously, because it requires genuine ground-up creation.
Section 2. Creating versus capturing value.
Now check out these numbers from 2012. On paper, the US airline industry looks like an absolute behemoth, bringing in a massive $160 billion in revenue, and yeah, they create hundreds of billions of dollars of value by transporting millions of passengers all over the globe. Google, on the other hand, they brought in only $50 billion that exact same year. If you were just looking at the sheer revenue created, you'd probably think the airlines were the vastly superior business. But here's the catch. Creating value just isn't enough. You actually have to capture some of the value you create.
And this next stat brilliantly illustrates exactly why. Despite that massive $160 billion revenue, airlines in 2012 made a profit of only 37 cents per passenger trip. 37 cents. It is a brutal, fiercely competitive market where profits are squeezed down to almost zero. Google, however, they kept a staggering 21% of its revenues as profit. That is literally more than 100 times the airline industry's profit margin. Google captures value because it operates fundamentally differently than an airline. It just isn't trapped in that endless cycle of horizontal competition.
And, capturing value isn't just about today's profit, it's about durability. A lot of people actually thought LinkedIn was wildly overvalued early on. Why? Well, its net income in 2012 was only about $21.6 million, or yet its market cap was pushing $24.5 billion. It sounds crazy, right? But it's because a tech company's true value actually exists in the far future. The overwhelming majority of the company's value comes from cash flows projected years and years down the line. So a company absolutely must grow, sure, but it also has to endure if it wants to capture all that future value.
Section 3. Understanding the power law.
Look, most startups fail. That is just a harsh statistical reality. Venture capitalists know this, so they're looking for companies that won't just succeed a little bit, but will succeed so massively that they basically pay for all the other failures combined. But hey, this isn't just important for those big investors. It is absolutely critical for you as a focused professional. The fundamental reality here is that the differences between companies will completely dwarf the differences in roles inside those companies. Think about it. If you own 100% of your own totally unfunded failing venture, well, you have 100% of nothing. But owning just 0.01% of a vertical progress titan like Google, that is incredibly valuable. The company you choose to align yourself with matters profoundly.
Section 4. Finding hidden business secrets.
All right, so how do we actually find these 0 to 1 ideas? Well, it all starts with what is basically the ultimate contrarian question. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? Now, I know that sounds simple enough, but honestly, it is intellectually and psychologically exhausting to actually answer. We're all taught from day one to agree with conventions, right? But brilliant thinking, that requires real courage. To find a true 0 to 1 idea, you have to find an open, unsuspected truth about how the world works that everyone else is just completely ignoring.
Think of it like a spectrum of knowledge. On the far left side, we have conventions. These are the things that are easy, the things everyone already knows. You are not going to find an edge there. Then, on the far right side, we have mysteries. These are things that are currently impossible for us to solve, like testing string theory. But right there in the middle, that's where we have secrets. These are things that are really hard to do, but they are doable. Just think about Airbnb or Uber. Before them, the absolute convention was that you stayed in a hotel and you hailed a state-licensed taxi. The secret they uncovered was harnessing the completely untapped, ignored spare capacity of private homes and cars. They saw a massive opportunity that was just hidden right there in plain sight. And that's the key. Great companies are built on these secrets.
Section 5. Building a solid foundation.
In the startup world, this next concept is so widely recognized that it's playfully called Thiel's Law. And it goes like this. A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed. The very beginning of a company is a truly special time. You literally have to get that founding moment exactly right. And a huge part of that foundation is ensuring your product isn't just, a little bit better, but 10x better than the closest alternative. Why 10x? Well, because merely incremental improvements, say making a wind turbine 20% better in a lab, they just get completely lost in real-world skepticism and the costs of actually implementing them. You must offer transparent, undeniable superiority. You literally have to be doing something genuinely different.
Which actually brings us right back to exactly where we started. Doing something different isn't just good for your profit margins, it is ultimately the very thing that pushes human progress forward. We really don't need another app doing slightly better what 100 other apps already do. The future, it's not going to just happen on its own. We actually have to work to create it. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to take away from our explainer today. It's a challenge, really, for you to look at the world just a little bit differently. What valuable company is nobody building?